Well, welcome everybody. My name is Daniel Moore and I'm here representing Lunchbox Studios, and I'm here to tell you about our game that we are producing right now that is for the Purdue Exhibit Design Center and is supposed to replicate a grocery store checkout aisle, and we'll give you some more information about that. But I want to open up our time right now with a quote that I thought was pretty thought-provoking. A mother and her child were having lunch in the beautiful garden of the Getty Museum in Los Angeles before going into the museum. They, like most people in the garden, were smelling and touching the flowers. The mother said, "It's wonderful to be able to touch all this. Make the most of it now, before we go inside." I thought that was pretty thought-provoking. Most museums nowadays, people go in and there could be like, oh, it's just a bunch of text, maybe some cool pictures, but otherwise it's an over-glorified textbook. Pretty boring to some people, as you can see this person right here. Now, we're wanting to improve upon that and give people so they don't have to have that experience. And Purdue Exhibit Design Center is one of those people. Their main purpose right now is to make exhibits that are then rented out to different sponsors, such as the Fair Oaks Dairy. Some of you may have visited that. Also the Indiana State Fair. Some of these exhibits were at the previous State Fair, which was back this year in 2012. And the one that we're working on right now is the My Plate exhibit. Some of you have maybe heard of My Plate. It is done by the USDA. It is a health and nutrition program that replaced the food pyramid, which most of you have probably heard about that one. But this occurred a couple years ago. And the goal of the Purdue Exhibit Design Center with their My Plate exhibit is to tell kids about health and nutrition in different areas. As you can see here, this is the grocery section of the My Plate exhibit, which shows different areas for kids that they can look at the different factors that go into different foods, such as vegetables and fruit and protein. And it also has an area of interactivity. This is the Hot Plate game, which is supposed to be a cop-off of Dance Dance Revolution, where a food shows up on the screen. They have a touchpad at the bottom where it looks like the hot plate. As they see a food, they touch on the different parts of it to score points. And this gives some fun factor to it. Now, our game that we're wanting to add to that interactivity has to fit into a context, and we have to keep that in mind. There's a lot of information already going into this, and kids are already learning about food, but our goal is to reinforce that knowledge. We're not wanting to teach something completely new. So our game is going to be going into this grocery section. It's going to be placed next to the milk cup cart that you can see here on this blue table. And it's going to be on a multi-touch screen surface that users will be able to come up and play it from both sides of the table. Now, the main component of our game is a multi-touch screen surface. Multi-touch screens, it's kind of a new technology that is being explored. Simple touch screens have been around for a while, but our game, we really want it to be used by multiple users, so we don't want something where only one person can come in and put input. We want multiple inputs to be able to go in. Now, when a user comes up, they're going to use a little foam device that looks like a barcode scanner that you'd see at your modern grocery store. And it's going to have a little stylus tab that's on the end of it, so then you can touch the screen with it and will give the input to the screen that you need. Now, the game itself is being developed in Adobe Flash. Yes, Adobe Flash is phasing out of the modern industry in terms of web development and being taken over by HTML and HTML Canvas, but it's also being used for standalone games, and that's something that the Purdue Exhibit Design Center uses, and that's what we've been using for our product. Now, the game will be called Check Out Your Calcium. As you can see, a user will come up to the screen. This is the start screen, and they will be able to hit the start button there at the bottom. Now, Check Out Your Calcium talks about the goal of the game. The goal of the game is for users to pick different food items that are rich in calcium as opposed to ones that are low in calcium. There's going to be different food that comes up on the conveyor belt. As you can see here, we have the enriched calcium-enriched foods on the left side, and then on the right side we have ones that are lower in calcium. And the participants are encouraged to pick those ones and avoid these. Now, it's going to be like a conveyor belt where it moves from the left side to the right side, or from the right to the left, depending on which side of the screen that you're standing on. And users will be able to take the little foam input devices and touch the food that goes along. And it also has positive reinforcement to encourage the kids as they use it. There will be little things like confetti and a little bell sound that shows that they did the right thing, or a little error sound, air horn that shows that they didn't do the right thing. And it will just help them to know that they're picking the right food. Now on a secondary screen, there's going to be a little score counter, a little glass of milk that shows how much that they've been picking. They're supposed to pick 10 calcium-rich food items. And as you can see here, that there's the item right here with the amount of calcium in it. And that just adds some extra little knowledge to the kids as they select the foods. There's foods such as broccoli and cheese. And to go along with our game, we had to do some research into some testing in order to validate our game and see what improvements need to be made. We did that this past week, and some of the things that we found out was that users would come up and they would just tap the screen right away. And they wouldn't even read the instructions, and they would just tap it and start and like, okay, what do I do now? Well, you're supposed to read the instructions. And these were adults. These were professionals within the AgCom department here at Purdue. And so they should know what kids are going to need. And we're saying, okay, if adults are doing this, then kids are going to do it as well. So this week we're going to be implementing a part where they hit the start button, an animation where they see the instructions, and then another button to start. So to see our final product, you should come to our final presentation, which will be during week 16, December 6th at 9 a.m. Hope you can join us. Thanks, guys.